Hello and welcome to Leaders of Tomorrow, India's largest platform for entrepreneurs. We bring you expert advice on how to make and manage your money right. What you need to keep in mind when it comes to hiring right, innovation strategy, anything and everything, in fact, related to the life of an entrepreneur being covered right here on the show tonight. I'm in conversation with two experts, two entrepreneurs from the Edtech space. Let me first welcome in Mukul Rustagi. He is with Classplus. We also have Prabhdeep Bedi of Toppr. Prabhdeep, Mukul, thank you so much for joining us on the show today. Prabhdeep, if I can come to you first and really talk about, how the pandemic has perhaps changed things for you at Toppr. What has the year been like?
For us in the edtech space, this has been a very interesting and actually a busier than expected year for all of us in the edtech space, right? From a number standpoint, the traffic on our website has increased almost 4x since February. We are touching 100 million sessions a month. So it's been a very, very busy year for us. Business has been looking up. The number of subscribers has gone up, like all of that, right? Uh, but overall, it was a tough start, right? When in March things started changing, we had to literally overnight, just like all other companies out there, just overnight move everybody to work from home, change our go-to-market model where we used to do home demos and switching that to online video demos. But luckily, I think we were in a sector where the demand also shot up immediately, and and we were able to match that the different go-to-market model. Other than that, Toppr launched a couple of new business lines, and one of them, which was very relevant for the times, was launching of the new Toppr school operating system, which is kind of a single seamless platform for schools to do everything from managing student teacher data to conducting classes online to doing lesson planning to assignments to student reports. So every all of these features were we literally developed them in less than 2 months and went live. While the development and adoption of some of these features was accelerated because of the pandemic, these features were developed so that they will sustain the test of time, right? So I think that's those are some of the changes that happened on the Toppr side for us.
Mukul, how about you?
It's been as unexpected and as good as it can be. I think we experienced very strong tailwinds very early into the year. We were also very ripe in our company at that stage because we had just closed our unofficially we had just closed our Series A at that point, and we were looking to ramp up. And obviously, a ramp up is both on the consumer side as well as on the team side. And although our team side actually took a bit of it because for a couple of months hiring remotely or onboarding people was something which was not really we were used to. But on the demand side, I think we saw great traction that we realized that we sooner or later would run out of our team capacity to actually handle the kind of traffic that we were seeing. And that obviously we didn't try to tinker a lot with what we do. I'm a big fan of letting good things be how they are. We just put up more impetus on our execution, and as a result, I think on all sorts of metrics that we used to typically measure, I won't say that we have grown lesser than 6 to 7x in the last 6 to 7 months, right? On most of the metrics that really matter to us. On the team side, also, I think we're now 2.5 times of what we were at the year start. We've closed 2 rounds of capital in the interim, closed like almost $19 million from some of the greatest partners that we could have found. And yeah, so I think that being said, like fixing an engine while you're already driving it is an altogether different art. I never knew that before because either we were building engines at Classplus or we were just accelerating them. For the first time, we were pushed into that domain where we had to do both of them simultaneously. And I think that's where that's been a great learning for all the founders, all the team. for us, like how to look at products. Very, very, very deep learnings that we have gotten. Don't know if we would ever be needing to apply them again or not, but nonetheless, like it's been a ride. It's a very different ride from what we had expected it to be.
I'm looking at reports which suggested $10 billion is the potential for the edtech market by 2025. Edtech is one of those few spaces, really, I would say, that has seen the positive impact of working from home and the pandemic. Where are we on those figures? Are we way off? Has that figure already been surpassed? What are some of the initial estimates the two of you are getting? Mukul, if I can come to you first, and Prabhdeep, you can go next.
We're very much on track for that. I think as a country, as an economy, as a system, see, like education hasn't changed a lot over the last 50 odd years or even more. And like whether there was COVID or not, there was anyway a lot of latent heat in the system that was just waiting to be to disrupt and come out and change the entire landscape of how education is consumed, how barriers of access can be broken, how barriers of cost should go away totally. So I think all this was anyway happening over the last 3 years. Like there are a lot of opinions that say that edtech has been like rising only through the COVID times. I don't think so. I think if you look at any of the edtech course numbers, especially the ones who had had the guts to survive the last few years, you would see a very positive trend right from in the last 2 years, and that just got accelerated over here. So whether this was there or not, I think we as a segment were always geared towards reaching that kind of a market expansion. Now, what this has it has probably accelerated that entire thing.
I mean, I actually kind of just building on that. First of all, I agree with Mukul, right? So, see, the sector overall has seen a boost, right? So, one of the questions is that whether that is short term or really going to sustain. My sense is it'll not only sustain, but it'll actually grow even faster. What has happened is that most of what edtech has to offer, I very strongly believe that is much better than whatever was there earlier, right? Like Mukul was earlier also talking about the hybrid model coming up and all of that. So I think that's the that's what is going to be the model going forward. Now, education overall is $100 billion industry in India, right? It's and we are talking 10% market share of that industry. I would say right now, even the education that is operating because of some form of technology that these schools are using. It could be as simple as doing their live classes on a platform like Zoom. The schools going online on Zoom. So what we are already seeing is that the traditional education sector is switching towards technology. That bit has already accelerated. Now, if the human race, experiences something better, it is unlikely that they will go back to their, old ways of learning or of teaching, right? So the $10 billion number that you talk about might be achieved a lot earlier than 2025. Overall as well, the 10 billion by 2025 might be a lot, bigger. Of course, can't put a number to it, could be 15, could be 20. But what will happen is that the share of edtech from the overall, education market will be a lot higher than what what everybody was predicting, say pre-COVID.
We talk very often about strategy for small businesses. So my question to you is, looking really at the changes that are taking place around entrepreneurs, particularly in the edtech space, or not even in the edtech space, your advice on how to quickly respond to the opportunities being presented by changes, how to really pivot, what you'd like to tell them?
See, the fundamentals of starting up or rebuilding are not going to change, right? You have to pick a problem that's very relevant, build a service or a product to solve that problem, make sure that the market is big enough and all of that, right? Like the whole market being big enough, product market fit being there, and having the right team and resources to achieve that. I don't think the fundamentals are going to change that, right? One mistake that people might, or young entrepreneurs in this stage might do, is that they will be salivating at this short-term opportunity of solving something just for COVID. And that mistake, if people do that, if young entrepreneurs do that mistake, that I think will be very, very short-lived, right? So don't pivot just because, you have been hit by by COVID, and your business model did not work. But I think you need to pivot if you're going to develop something which will be more relevant, because the world itself has changed, right? In the case of education, as I said, nobody is going to go back to being, however education was done, say 8 months ago, right? Teachers have experienced. See, it's very fashionable to say that work from home is not good and all of us want to go back to office and all that, but at the end of the day, the flexibility that something like this has offered us is also huge, right? So there will be hybrid models that will emerge, and if your solutioning is not for those kinds of models, it's either this or that, it will not work. It will not work for you, right? So I think that is very, very very critical. Don't salivate at this short-term thing, and because of that forget the fundamentals of building a new business, or rebuilding a new business, right? And other than the edtech space also, right, if you're rebuilding the same business, make sure you're doing everything you can to make your customers and employees feel safer. Remember that your customers need your product. Okay, so if you are solving for their problem, remember, just like keep that at the back of your mind, that they still need your product. It is true even in categories like travel, hospitality, etc., that have probably been the worst hit because of the pandemic, right? The question you have to ask is, what will make your customer pick you over, say your competition or something that is out there, if you are starting something new. Take the pilot and scale approach. Try out new ways of going to market, maybe build a few offshoots of your current business line, but ensure that you do a pilot that and that you can rely on its results. Do not invest in huge fixed costs. Play the variable game. Contract versus hire, buy versus build. These are the kinds of questions that you should be answering right now, right? Don't over invest in fixed costs and then not go anywhere from there, right? So those are very, I would give that practical advice to anybody who's starting new, irrespective of COVID, but now more than ever.
I'm going to take a very quick break on that note, much more on the other side though. Welcome back. You're with us here on Leaders of Tomorrow. Tonight, we are talking about the opportunities in the edtech space. Even as we're talking about rapid digitization, I do want to ask both of you for your personal insights in terms of any challenges you may have faced along your journey of growth, and based on that, any insights that you'd like to leave our entrepreneurs with.
All of us have been mostly digital first companies, right? And obviously we had all expected that softer aspects of building a business, right? Whether you hire, whether you train, whether you do sales, or whether you debate over products, right? That's highly understated, but having those sort of conversations and those are things that obviously like most of us did not know when COVID hit us. I think that puts a little bit of jitter on how the company is operating, because now suddenly everyone is operating, and like it's not easy to have that kind of a healthy debate when let's say you're on camera. Like there might be different distractions all throughout. So I think that's one thing. But I think the biggest advice would be that I've actually seen a lot of people just start up in education during COVID, right? And whether it's pivoting to edtech or whether it's just starting edtech, because see, this wave might not, like no wave remains forever, it is, right? And I think somebody who really thinks that they need to make a major decision in life, whether in terms of being in the segment or molding the product or taking a pivot, I think if you think that's a long term and a 10-year choice, I think that then only is the right time to do this. Otherwise, you'll find yourselves at the wrong end of the wave a few months down the line, right? And that's a one-way door. Sure. You cannot come back to your normal life again. So I think those are the only two aspects we found. One for ourselves to improve. The first one, as told you, and the second one for everybody else who might be hearing this.
I think infrastructure at the beginning of it was a little bit of a challenge, but not as much. When I say infrastructure, I mean device access, right? Now even if you have a, let's say, a laptop or a desktop at home, but right now everybody is working from home, and a 2 Mbps connection might not work for you. You need a 100 Mbps connection or a 50 Mbps connection so that they can be 3 people, 5 people in a home be on video calls, right? So I think, but that I think problem was sorted pretty early on. One thing which we which we faced was, we had to take up the whole teacher training aspect, right, which is not a very easy thing to do. Teachers who have been teaching a certain way for the last 20, 30 years, had to suddenly come online. They had to change their, infrastructure problems are one, but also their way of teaching, their ability to construct, get PowerPoints together to teach their kids, or, how to engage students in an online class. All of those things is something that, we had to take teachers who are on our platform as well. We have to take them, through it. I'm talking about the school operating system primarily. But other than that, our, Toppr has always been, digital first and online first. So the base business of Toppr was, there wasn't much that we had to do over there.
So speaking of the opportunities present for entrepreneurs in the edtech space, will fundraising then become just that much easier or more difficult? What advice would you have for someone?
I don't think just anybody who's just deploying capital or just raising capital because it's pandemic is not the right reason to do both. I think good founders will continue raising capital. I think there are times like these when we actually find the real value of partners. Like we at Classplus have been like super fortunate to partner with some of the best people out there, and the immense contribution that they make on the business today, whether it's operational or whether it's a 60,000-foot view, it's incredibly immense, right? And but like I don't think like COVID was the real driver on like us having found those partners. In fact, our Series A was closed much before COVID. Like it was like probably a quarter back, right? So I think yes, there'll be a lot of distractions. There'll be a lot of noise. There would be a lot of people who try to ride the wave. But at the end of it, people who believe in the segment, whether it's founders or whether it's the other on the other side, I think those are the people who are the best people to partner with and who make immense contributions. That being said, whether fundraising goes easier or tougher, I think then it's always a relative question. And then there are pros and cons to that. Obviously, this entire wave would elicit a lot of Me Too. So most of the platforms in the countries, good edtech platforms, are seeing almost double digit of Me Too's in the market. So theoretically, it might just make somebody think that it's tougher to raise capital, but the more you can stand out from everybody else, I think that's easier as a founder to also do that. So I think it's a very, very mixed bag. I think good founders and good investors, I think they'll keep finding each other and finding ways to contribute to the society. And it's immaterial whether pandemic stays here, whether the wave stays here, whether the market grows slower or faster. I think all of these are just milestones and pit stops in the journey.
Yeah, I mean, see, so we are slightly different. We actually raised our entire Series D by not having a single in-person meeting with the new investor who came on board. So that it was a difference in how we have raised any of the rounds in the past, or how they also would have invested in any company. But that was the only difference, right? They did not come into Toppr with this, because there was a pandemic situation, and therefore, Toppr, or for that matter, edtech would suddenly grow, and hence they would put in money. I think it wasn't like easy or difficult, right? Either way for us to raise, during the pandemic, and going forward as well, right? If everybody is just thinking that because of the pandemic, it's going to become easier for edtech to raise money. No, I think, yes, what it has done is it has accelerated the adoption of edtech. So people are more aware, and the user base will grow faster. But if you do not have the answer to this question of what happens after pandemic, when it is like pure adoption of your platform versus something shoving it down your throat, if you don't have an answer to that question, it will be very difficult for you to raise money. Already, I mean, this is the question that is that we get asked, and I'm pretty sure anybody who is currently meeting new investors, etc., as well, will get asked that, guys, this is great, but are you going to sustain? Right? Is this a wave that will go down, or is going to be high enough forever? Right? So if young entrepreneurs are just building for the pandemic, it's going to be as difficult as it would have been for anybody building for a short-term problem.
Mukul, Prabhdeep, thank you very much for your time. Completely out of time on this episode of Leaders of Tomorrow. If you have any feedback for us, our contact details is up on your screens as we speak. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good night.